Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Simply Real Lifestyle Vlogs. Today we're back again with, I guess, one of my most requested videos, and that is how I built my house at 20. So if you're new here, hi and welcome, and hit the subscribe button down below, and if you're back, welcome back. So I'm doing this video in collaboration with my sister because she's been through a similar process, but she does have a channel actually, Yamo. So I'll link it down in the description box below. Please do check her out because she's all about food and she's great at it. So before we get into this video, of course I'm going to start off with the scripture. So today we're going to read from Matthew 6 verse 33. So it goes like, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." So I'm definitely going to try to make this video as short as possible. I might even section it, but the way I'm going to present this video is I'm actually going to present it in like 3 steps of how I did it. And that's first of all the planning process of the house, the finance, and then I'm going to pretty much give you guys, I guess, tips and advices that I learned throughout the way for things you should look out for when buying a house. Again, this video honestly is me and my sister's experience. Your experience might be totally different, and this is honestly just what we learned through this whole process. So before I definitely go in detail about the whole steps, I'm definitely going to mention the differences between my sister's process and my process. So one of the differences is that obviously she's married, so she went through this process with her husband, whereas I did not. The other thing is that she built a double-storied and I built a single-storied. Also, we had different builders. I went with Porter Davis and she went with Carlisle Homes. They're both Australian builders. I think with Porter Davis, they build in Brisbane and Melbourne. I'm not too sure any other state in Australia, but Carlisle Homes, do they build?
I think they're only in Melbourne.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
So those are pretty much the biggest, I guess, significant differences between our processes. But definitely throughout this video, if there's anything, that stands out, we're just going to mention it. So the planning process, I think, is the most important process for me because that sets the pace and the foundation of what you're doing and what you can afford and all of that. So the first thing I would say is start your research early. So by research is, the first thing I would do is that go to your nearest display home or what do they call them? Display village or something? So a display home is usually like
it's basically like here in Melbourne. I know in Sydney it's different. It's like a literal whole village, almost like a whole, situation. But here in Melbourne, it's like a street.
Yeah, usually 2 or 3 streets of houses that pretty much these companies, these builders like Carlisle Homes, Porter Davis, Metricon, and all that, they pretty much build these houses to just showcase what they do. And in these houses, they pretty much do the best, right? So you kind of walk into these homes, see what sort of style you like, see the builders, look at the prices, and that gives you, I guess, that gave me a concept of what I wanted and the sort of quality that I wanted, and also the price ranges. But if you don't want to do that, definitely you can research online, look at their websites. They usually have virtual walk-ins where you can go through their houses, but I just think going into a display home is much better.
Yeah,
definitely.
Because like what we found out is that they have different plans, like house layouts and stuff like that. They can't obviously have all of their plans on display. But I would highly recommend if you see a plan that you like that's not on display, ask them if they have a similar, somewhat similar house that's actually on display for that plan, because then you get the feel of the layout. Because it might look great, and space. It might look great on paper, but walking like we had those experiences, and then you walk in and you're like, this is not functional. So you definitely, I would highly recommend going for something that you've actually physically walked into.
Yeah, definitely. But the funny thing is, I actually did not walk into my home. The house that I built, I didn't walk into it because the display home, I think it was bought and someone was now living in their home, so I couldn't. But I think just going through anyway, Porter Davis Homes, it kind of gave me a sense of their style, their quality, and all of that, which helped. Yeah, definitely helped. A thing to be watchful of, I guess, when going to display homes, you need to understand that when they built their homes, they've upgraded it to the maximum. So when you see something, you're like, oh wow, this looks so nice. Probably the house you're gonna get, the standard layout plan has, I don't know, it doesn't have a fountain and it doesn't have this sort of whatever, but I think it's just too pretty much advertising.
Like in that instance, the questions that you I would recommend for you to ask is when you walk into a display home or house that you really like, is to ask them what's the base price.
Yeah. What's upgraded?
Yeah, and then if you really like everything you see in that display house, then ask them how much would it cost to build the exact same house, like with all the upgrades that they've put in. So that's what me and my husband were doing. Then we get the price of, you know, everything, and then the base rate. And then I remember when we walked into one of the display homes, this other lady was actually laughing. She's like, you know what, which was great that she told us this, because some builders, I don't know what builders these are, you might find it though, in my head I'm thinking, okay, if you're building me a house, obviously you know it's going to come with the doors. But some builders actually, a door is an upgrade. Yeah. So you need to be watchful of that, because then I'd rather spend my dollars somewhere else where I'm getting, you know, most things than having to upgrade to buy a door.
Yeah, upgrades can be expensive.
And also what you want is, you know, it depends with what builder you want to go for, but you want to try and, you know, get the best value for your money. So you want to try and find a builder that actually has all the basics included in the base price, right? So for example, if the base rate is $200,000, right, hypothetically, you want to maximize it, say, oh, you know, in this base rate they include a, you know, downlight package, like, you know, you want to get the most out of it, because then if, for example, if your base rate is $200,000, right, and you get a lot of the basics, then you know that, okay, I can spend, let's say, $100,000 with upgrades, other than spending $100,000 to include things like doors. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, when you're looking at these houses, be mindful of the size of the house. So when you go on the website, example in Porter Davis, it shows you the size of the house, and then it shows you the land in which they can build on. When you're looking at your land, an example, it is 12 by 5, right, by 28. So 12 by 5 would be the width, and then the height would be 28, right? When you're looking therefore at these houses, you need to take note that certain houses can only be built on certain lands. So when you're looking at these houses, just be mindful that your house needs to fit on the land. And what I mean by that, you have example land by 12.5 in width, and then depth will be 28. You therefore can't get a house that is 12.5 by 28, because then you have no space, right? So when you buy these lands, just know that, okay, it needs to fit your house in it too. And usually companies are different, and different estates that you build in have different requirements. They might be like, oh, we need a 5 meter backing or something of clearance, or if nothing built on there, or whatever it might be. So just be mindful and ask the builders when you're doing this, like, okay, I'm planning to build here and there, or I have this land of whatever size, can I build there? For what house actually can I build on this land?
Yeah, makes sense. And on that note too, what I would recommend, what I found helpful, is that try and find everything together. For example, right, like where we built our land, if you for example, if you buy land first, right, some builders actually can't build on particular lands. Do you know what I mean? Because there's things like site costs and the fall of the land and all that stuff.
So land engineering too.
Yeah, so try and when you go, especially if you're going to, because I know they do house and land packages, if you do that, easier. But for us, we didn't do a house and land package. We sort of wanted to find a land that we liked and then a house that we liked. But when you find a piece of land that you like, and try and go to different display homes or companies that actually build, and be like, oh, hey, can you get me an engineering report of this land? And then ask them, can you guys actually build on this house? Yeah. Right? Because then if you buy a land, like for example, I know one of my mates, they were almost going to buy a piece of land, really beautiful, you know, scenery and all that stuff. But when they went to the display homes to ask them, you know, can you actually, this land has been sold multiple times, because builders actually can't build on it, except if you're going to go for like a custom builder, which then starts to get expensive. So try and, before you put a deposit on your land, especially if it's not a house and land package, go around and ask the different builders, hey, can you look at the engineering plan of this land? Can you guys build on it? Normally, if like the popular builders like Porter Davis or Carlisle or if they can build on it, then you're good to go.
Yeah, definitely. Like before you buy a land, ask the builder, and you can even ask multiple builders, although you don't want to go with them. Just like, oh, can you give me a land engineering report just to see? Because example, with your eyes, you can't see, okay, there was a sewage underneath and it's just compacted with soil or whatever. So it's good to know that, like, oh, what was the land before they kind of made it all prettied up and all that. Definitely. And like when we're referring to example, we built with volume builders, and the difference between volume builders is that they can adjust sort of your plan, but they won't example custom make it. So that's why she's saying that when these volume builders say yes, it's typically that therefore the custom builders, which will from scratch will tell you like, I want this wall here and all of that, will definitely can be able to do it. You know what I mean?
Because for volume builders, they want a piece of land that's not too hard,
not too much work.
Not too much work, because they are all about the quick cash.
Yeah.
So they don't want something that's going to be difficult for them to deviate from the actual plan. So if they can say they can build on it, then you know that your land it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. But one thing I wanted to point out when she said H&L package is it's easier, but I would not advise it because it's more expensive. Because to be quite honest, it's a business. It's trying to make profit. So I remember when I looked at a H&L package and the land next to it was being sold separately. And example, I compared the house package from a builder, and therefore I was like, okay, then therefore what is the difference of the land? And they had, I think, put it up by 25k, which I understand, it's a business, but I definitely think the internet is your best friend. Go on sites like Domain, go on Century 21, like those real estate agents, usually you can click in and be like, oh hi, I'm looking for a land in whatever site, and you will see so many lands out there being sold. But definitely also go to the land itself and see, okay, do I like the area, do I like the vibe of it and all of that, because there's many lands out there for sale. Some are cheap, some are ridiculously cheap, and you're like, why? Therefore that's why you sort of send your land engineering with that. But yeah, definitely internet's your best friend. Find your own land, research, and that's the most frustrating part for me, that the land process, finding a good land, because I'll go in and be like, nah, I don't like the area, I don't like the surrounding area and all of that. And definitely hopefully these are not our final houses and we'll sort of turn it into profit or investments and all that. So you need to see like, okay, the area that I'm building in, is it booming? Are there many,
but like schools
are infrastructures,
is there any development going on
coming up? Definitely.
And I think that's the one thing that we both did. We both bought our lands separately. But for us, we bought the land separate. Before we actually purchased the land, we asked the builder that we had found that we liked if they can package it for us.
I did the same thing. I did the same thing.
So then we dealt with different, like we managed to, in that instance, you can manage to bargain your land
price.
You
really can put down your land price. I don't know but I've learned. I bargain everything. I will never buy things full price, especially with the land and all, because they're private
sellers. Even the house, you can try.
You can really just be like, oh look, and with these I love salespeople, because they will tell you like, oh, it's running out. They'll call you, oh look, there's someone looking at the land. Just be calm. Just be like, okay,
if there was someone looking, they would have gone with that.
Because I'm not your friend, I'm not your family, so therefore you're not obligated to keep a piece of land or profit from me. They're just trying to put pretty much. So calm down and bargain the price, pretty much. One thing also you can do in the research sort of stage of it is when you look at these builders, Google review is so good, because when you go into like display homes, they're obviously going to put their best salesperson out. Do you want tea? Do you want this? Do you want a bottle of water? And you'd be like, oh wow, right? You'd be pretty much taken back, but you need to do Google researches and believe the reviews, because many people have been played by dodgy builders, right? Some volume builders especially are dodgy, and they, I guess, play people in terms of what would I say? There's stories, instances where they go past their building time, or the quality of the house is different, or the materials they put. Because you can't, when you go into your house, you're just going to see like a pretty wall thing, but you don't know the infrastructure inside, what's in there. So there's people definitely, I guess, you know, that have been played with that. So definitely believe your reviews, okay? And talk to people that have built with those hole in builders. Like, oh, how did you find the process, you know? Yeah, I think so.
Reviews. And what you have to keep in mind is that you're actually investing your hard-earned money into this. Regardless how big of an investment or how little
how much money
it's still money. It's still my hard-earned money. So you need to put the research in. Like I said, it's an investment. You want to be able to get value for your money.
Yeah, you want to get value for money, definitely.
Invest your time as well. And what I mean by that is that I was lucky that he was into it, like, because I know some people, like, they really can't be bothered. They're just like, yeah, nah, whatever, it's just a roof over my head. I get that, but you want your space to be your space. So what I can say is walk into all the display homes, guys. Walk into them. Go to different estates. Like, we went far and wide. Okay, go to different pieces of land, have a look, speak to people, you know, like, and go on different days, because then you get to see different salespeople and gather
and deals that they can do for
exactly.
You. Some are strict and
some are strict. Some, like, you know, you can't even approach them. They're like, take it or leave it. But some people are like, oh, okay, like, you know, yeah, we can offer you this, we can do this, you know what I mean? So the more you go into these display homes, the more you go into like land sale places, the more information you're gathering, and you make an informed decision on what to get. So don't tire with the research. I know it can be like, for us it was fun, because
and never settle on your first home. Like, oh yeah, this is good. Well, you might come back to it, but definitely look elsewhere. And I think where she was saying that some people can't be bothered, I'm one person example. I can't be bothered with too much research. It tires me, and this whole research process, I think, took me about like 3 to 6 months. Okay, maybe not. Took me about 3 months in general, going back and forth, driving to lands, coming back. This is good, this is bad. And I as she said, like, her partner, you know, is quite on it, and my partner is on it too, in terms of, they're like, no, there's better deals, do this, do that. I think you just need someone to, if you're not that person for yourself, have someone that can help you, push you to be like, oh no, keep searching, keep doing this and all. But yeah.